it's not for everybody, but for me, the guided meditation helps so much, just simply because there's someone there talking, and like many other people's our brains wander, and every time like someone's speaking, it's just a bit of a refresh. And yeah, to see the consistency over time is like one of the best things I can say with the app, and maybe we go into training further, is small things done consistently over time equals results. And like that was my whole approach with it. It wasn't,
that is progressive overload 101.
Yeah. It's just that was my main focus. It was like 3 to 10 minutes, 4 to 7 days a week, and no less than 4 and up to 7. And over time, that's just changed my whole mentality. And now I've done 90% of the courses. Like I didn't do the course on pregnancy because I wasn't pregnant at the time.
Still not pregnant?
No, I'll have to go and get checked, but we'll see. We'll see. But there are some titles that just stood out to me so much. Again, sleep being one of them. I've done, I think it's like 30 days on sleep, and it does go in depth. And the app itself it is very, very beneficial, depending on where you're at and what you actually want to take from it as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I personally don't use Headspace or Calm or any of those other guided meditation apps, but that's because I've weaned myself off them. Initially, when I started mindfulness-based meditation, I was the same, man. Like, I'd just recently gotten out of the army, and I was dating a yoga teacher, and she's like, do this mindfulness, do this meditation shit, and I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, it was just the way that it came across from her, like, it came across as fluffy, and I was like, I don't need to do that shit, man. Like, I was a fucking soldier, and I was a highly performing sniper and rugby player, and I was like, that shit is not for me. But then once I start, I had to put my ego aside, man. And that's a big part of it, right? I had to put my ego aside, and like, I couldn't sit there for 5 minutes in my own head, because I was just like, what the fuck are these thoughts? So I actually had to start using guided meditation, because like you said, you're focusing on that voice, and then the voice will stop for a little bit. It tells you what to do. Focus on your breathing. Nice deep breath in, long breath out. Now think about this, think about that, and it's guiding your thought process, which doesn't allow your own thoughts to come into your head. But I think that's an important thing, is being able to then kind of wean yourself off that and do unguided meditation. But that is definitely a good starting point for people, to allow them to manage their mind. And I mean, the thing with mindfulness work is a lot of people think, I had this conversation a number of times already this week with some of my fighters, some of my online clients, and it's like, what's the goal of meditation? And I was the same, man. When I first started, I was like, what am I supposed to be doing? And my girlfriend was like, empty your mind. And I was like, well, I'm fucking failing at this, because I can't empty my mind. I've been trying this for like 3 months now, being consistent with it every day, and I can't empty my mind. Like, I'm failing. But then one of my mates is a yoga teacher, Yin Soul yoga teacher, and he actually used Yin Soul yoga as an alternate therapy for PTSD. He was in Afghanistan, Iraq, etc., and he had his own demons that he was dealing with, and he went down the medicinal route, the pharmaceutical route, and then he was like, well, this is not fucking working for me. Like, I'm becoming reliant upon these drugs. I need to find something else. So he started doing Yin Style yoga, man, and that really helped change his mindset and his outlook. And then that started bleeding over to, working with other people. And then he literally founded his company, Blind Tiger Yoga, and built his business around helping veterans, military, police, first responders do Yin Style yoga to kind of manage their mind, man. And I thought that was really powerful. But yeah, it's like I was saying, I've had this conversation quite a bit the last couple of days, the last couple of weeks, and the whole goal of mindfulness-based work is not to empty your mind. It is to allow those thoughts to come into your mind, but then don't attach any meaning to them, don't attach any emotions to them, and then let them pass. And a great analogy that I heard was, if a thief walks into an empty house, they look around, there's nothing to take here, there's nothing to connect to, and then they just walk out, right? And I think that's a great analogy for the mindfulness-based work. You don't need to, you're not trying to empty your mind, you're just letting these thoughts come in, boom, boom, boom. And all of these thoughts you can't control. You can't control the outcome. The point is not to attach emotion to them, let them pass, and then focus back on the breathing, because that is what you can control.
Yeah.
Which is, it's crazy, man. Like, this served me in Afghanistan. I've told this story many, many times on the podcast about how just focusing on my breath allowed me to get to sleep and allowed me to be on the front foot. But the byproduct of that was, you know, it forced me to come back to the breath. It forced me to think about the things that I could control. And then that literally changed my mindset for the rest of the, 8.5 month deployment. Yeah. Was being able to focus on the things that I could control, not worrying about the things that I couldn't control.
Yeah, and I think that's like a significant part of it. It's like over time, it's like you can't see it immediately, but over time you create that mental resilience. And I think one of the things that you relate back to, which I find funny, is like obviously going through the army and everything there. It's like I can relate to that. I grew up in a lads environment. Like I was surrounded by the boys always, even still now, and when people, especially back home, they're like, what are you doing with your meditation? Like, what's this? I'm like, I do this because it allows me to focus on something else. Mm-hmm. And I think when we talk about meditation, it's always like, well, we want to breathe and we want to find ourselves. We want to, and going back to what you just said, it's not about attaching stuff to it. I think one of the beauties of the meditation is that we're trying to focus on a single thing at a time and nothing but that. And when something comes in, it's about exactly what you said. It's about acknowledging it, acknowledging it, and then just popping a bottle almost and continuing doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And that transfers over. Like you can see here, I've got a guitar. I've been playing guitar for a year. It allows you to sit in the meditation allows you to pick up a guitar and then focus on nothing but the guitar. Mm-hmm. And I think the misconception sometimes is when people say, well, I run, so that means, or I cycle, so I meditate. And it's like, but while you're cycling, are you thinking of something else? Mm-hmm. And that's not directly that. It's just an association that you're doing something, but your awareness normally goes within like 3 seconds. Mm-hmm. Like I go, okay, 10 breaths in and out. In 10, 9, 8, I'm gone. And then like, okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Back through it. So that side of it, man, I can like, especially with like the lad side of it, it's like a lot of my friends back home will be like, what are you doing? Like it makes no sense, especially in the society that we grew up. But to see how much it can help and transfer over, I had a lot of anger issues, man, deep rooted anger issues, and that come out in past relationships. And I remember walking away and thinking like, how can I deal with that? Like, how can I deal with it? And like 8 months went by before I dealt with it, and I hadn't. And what had happened was then I was just put back into a similar situation, and they all just kept popping up, and I was like, that's me, that's not them, that's me.
Yeah, 100%. So
then I had to relate back and went working on stuff, and now like a couple of years down the line, like going through like relationships, I've managed to end relationships like positively, and that's something that I've took from it, because like my anger issues when I was younger, I might have said something wrong or said something that I haven't mean in the heat of the moment. And like now with the shift of the mentality of headspace or meditation or finding that's something that's worked, now I would never handle the situation the same, because I'm not that same person all the time, because the way I handle it is the way I see it is now just completely different.
Yeah. I think that's really powerful, man. And something you said there was that mindfulness work allows you to focus. And I think that is something that's not really considered when people are looking at mindfulness or meditation-based work. And that's a great point, man. Like, we live in this world where we are constantly distracted. Like, we are always looking for things to do. How many people can just like sit there in silence with their own thoughts, bro?
It's not.
You know, and that's the thing, man. Like, it's not easy. But the point that I'm making is, you know, how do you get better at anything? You need to train yourself to do that thing. You know, so if you want to start with meditation, you want to start with some mindfulness because you want to see your ability to focus your attention on specific things that you're working towards, then, you know, that's a great way of doing it. And you don't need to do 10 minutes of meditation every day. You might just go, I'm going to do 1 minute of guided meditation.
Yeah, see if you can focus for 1 minute.
Yeah, exactly, man. Just, all right, this is the one thing that I'm going to do right now. 1 minute, man. I'm just going to focus for 1 minute. I'm not going to let my attention go anywhere else. If thoughts do come in, let them pass.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a great point, as it does carry over to other things, because again, we have, I think, what I hear is like 70,000 thoughts a day or some shit like that, man, as humans. And they're all pulling you in different directions, right? And if you're not fucking focused on what you're doing, you're not clear on what it is you're working towards, you know, you're going to get pulled in all different directions, and then you don't get anything done. And then you finish the day and you're like, well, fuck, I've been busy, but I haven't actually achieved anything.
Yeah. Like I can go through days of just playing loud music and looking forward to training and just before I know it, I've woke up at 5 p.m. around, I've done nothing but potter about.